bit more explanation on the weapon on the on-demand, sorry, corporation class. 831-770-8451. Thank you.
Good morning, good afternoon. Oh, it's almost a good afternoon, right? Hi, everyone. My name is Roberto Morales. I am the community manager here at Latino Tax Pro. Super excited today to be on this webinar with you with some great partners, right? We're going to be going over the child tax credit, additional child tax credit, and some ITIN stuff. But before we get started, obviously this is something that we're doing on a weekly basis. So if you've been tuning in, we've been kind of building off of the BBB, all the different changes and everything that's coming on board. We want to make sure that you're prepared for this tax season that's coming up. We have we got two specialists on the Zoom today, right? And I'm gonna let them kind of introduce themselves, and then we'll kind of get into it. Okay. So ladies first, right? We have Nejla. Nejla, if you'd like to introduce yourself to the crowd.
Hello there, I am Nejla Smith. I am a CPA and that I run a fully bilingual tax firm in South Dakota. And if you may have seen me on these webinars before or at Latino Tax Fest, where I spoke both in English and in Spanish on ITIN issues and some immigration changes coming up. Things have changed quite a bit since the Latino Tax Fest, believe it or not. And we are so happy to be here and giving you that new information.
Awesome. Thank you, Nejla.
Hi, my name is Josué Rojas. I've been with the company for about 20 years now, for Lopez Tax Service. Been there for the start of Latino Tax Pro. Excited to be here with you guys. I'm basically every year, I think the tax laws like to change, keep us on our toes. And I'm glad everybody's here to maybe refresh themselves or learn something new that they haven't learned before. But overall, I'm glad to be here and thank you for inviting me. Thanks.
Thanks for being on the call again. And we're just gonna take a quick second. Hey, thank you everyone that showed up live on chat or here on Zoom and even all of our social media platforms. We'll look at the noise right here. We'll see if we can get that fixed up. But we have Raymond. Welcome from Southbury, Connecticut. Thank you for joining, right? If you guys want, go ahead and put where you're from. And we will be taking some questions and answers here at the 30-minute mark. But obviously these two tax credits are something that makes a big difference for our families, right? A lot of our clients, right, they depend on these credits. So, but when it comes to ITINs and Social Securities, right, rules can get complicated, especially with everything changing this year. And obviously it's, every year changes. But that's why we brought together this panel of experts for you guys to kind of lead you into what's coming up and what to look for. So I'm going to start off with the first question, guys. Again, we want it to be informative for our customers, right? Our clients, our partners, people who have been doing taxes for a while, right? Anything that you can add on top of it to help them out this tax year, obviously is going to be a good thing. So first off, let me set the stage, right? First, can you explain the current eligibility rules for the child tax credit and the additional child tax credit, and what role ITINs and Social Securities play in those rules?
I can kind of go ahead and start on this. Well, let's talk first about what we've known for the past many, many years. The child tax credit and additional child tax credit have always been allowed for kids with Social Security numbers that live in the house with their parents, right? Of course, someone with an ITIN would not be able to qualify for earned income credit, even though their kids have Social Security numbers. Now, with this One Big Beautiful Bill Act, they have changed the rules on the child tax credit and additional child tax credit. And now it's requiring not only the child to have a Social Security number, but also at least one of the parents. So if we have a head of household return, then that will have to have, that parent will have to have, or guardian would have to have the Social Security number. And in a married filing joint return, at least one of the taxpayers at the top of the return will need to have a Social Security number in order to claim the child tax credit or additional child tax credit, which differs, of course, from the earned income credit rules in which both of the parents would have to have the Social Security number there. So that is quite the shakeup for our clients. I'll give an example. If we have a tax return, let's say it's a head of household tax return, and they have 3 children with social security numbers, and they have usually been able to get that max $6,000 credit on their return. Parent has an ITIN. Now this year, because that parent still has an ITIN, that credit is going to be changed down to the other dependent credit, which means they'll only get 500 non-refundable for each of their children. This gives us a change to their taxes in the amount of $4,500. This is going to be huge for a lot of our clients. They're not necessarily prepared for this. They don't necessarily have their withholdings at work in order to compensate for this huge increase in tax. What do you think, Josue?
Yeah, that's one of the main concerns that we have with some of our clients that they're not going to be withholding enough this year, especially with parents with ITIN numbers that normally get that higher credit. So as a tax professional, I would definitely recommend to maybe help your clients out by changing their W-4s, make sure they have the right withholdings this year. Let them know that the tax changes have changed with this OBBB bill and that they need to maybe consult or do a consultation to see where they're at. I'm very curious on, I know I said, I was like, I know the tax season is going to be probably late this year, but I'm pretty sure maybe our software might be late this year too, or maybe we'll just have the updates as they come in. But this is going to be some changing, uh, some changings for this tax season for your clients, and we want to make sure that they're going to be prepared for that one. And I would highly, highly recommend for maybe lessen the blow and letting them know that there's going to be some changes, and definitely for the credits that they normally would receive are not going to be receiving or reduce this coming year.
Legal
But yes,
correct.
Now, you guys bring up some valid points there. Obviously, being in constant communication with our clients is something that we should be doing, right? Especially when changes like this can affect them, not just in a minimal way, in a huge way, like Nejla was saying, right? A lot of our families, a lot of our customers depend on these returns to kind of live, plan out the rest of the year or kind of live off on the rest of the year. Nejla, did you want to mention something else? And I kind of seen you go.
Oh,
up.
no, that just like you were saying, in my example, that's about $400 a month more taken away from their disposable income. So if they had their withholding set up just right for 2024, so that they basically broke even in 24, that's, like I said, about $400 more that they're going to have to be sending in to the IRS every single year. So, like Jose was saying, if we can reach out to those clients, get this information in front of them sooner than later. It sounds like maybe Univision and Telemundo have been helping out with this. I've heard from a couple of clients that they've kind of heard a little bit, but it's important for it to come from us, their trusted tax preparers, saying this is what's going to happen. Come see me if you need to change your W-4 or go to your HR department. Just get that out there is super important.
yeah, one of
So
those big
definitely,
changes is people are thinking they're going to get, hey, it should be higher, right? It should be 2,200. I thought it was going to be I thought I was going to get more back. So that's going to be the big surprise that a lot of clients are going to come in during this tax season thinking in their mindsets like, oh, everything went up. I got the itemized, the standard deductions higher. I shouldn't be paying as much. And it's going to be a total shock when they come in and they're filing their returns and they're like, what do you mean I owe? I never owed before. Are you sure you did it right? So the idea on this one and for our conversations today is to just to make sure that you let your clients know ahead of time before you do a sticker shock to them when they come in for tax season, and it who knows, they might be able to change it right now with their W-4s, make sure that extra withholdings. You don't have to be exact, but maybe just say, hey, you know what, let's put an extra maybe $50 or $100 every paycheck just to make sure you're not going to get stunned or hit this year. Sorry, Robert, we can't hear you.
See, the great thing about being on mute, right? But you guys brought up some valid points, and I'm sure you guys can agree with me that some of our clients already come in with that money spent. You know, they've already spent it. They've booked a family trip or whatever it may be. So getting ahead of it's obviously going to be it's going to be helpful. So we know a lot of immigrant families are directly affected by these rules. What are some biggest misconceptions that you guys see do you see tax professionals or clients have about claiming these credits with ITINs?
Yeah, the book should be receiving, you should.
Well, I
be
think just
receiving
kind of
the
like
next one.
Josue was saying, they're not realizing that these changes are going to be affecting them. They hear about, oh, the child tax credit is going up. Well, that's great. That's great. I have 3 kids, right? I'm going to get all this more money. But if we're not out there actively trying to tell them, like Josue said, they're going to have this giant sticker shock and walk out uneasy from our office. And we don't really want that. And then them wondering if we did it right. We have to let them know ahead of time if at all possible.
Watch those as well.
But did you want to add something or you're good? I think you're good, right? So
Yeah, yeah, I definitely. If you guys have like a
65.com,
system in place to where
and
you guys can mass
use your
email or let your
email as
clients
your
know,
username.
that would be great. Especially maybe do a social media
Correct,
post
I
saying,
have
hey, just some changes for I-10 families.
Service@yahoo.com.
Just keep them up to date because some of those things
365.
is making sure your clients know knowledge. I mean, you might know it, knowledge is power, but you have to use that in order to have that
Yeah,
power
and
on
you
it.
should have
So
a
make sure
password
you
from
notify
last
your
year,
clients, make sure they
but if
know.
you do need a new
Maybe
password, I
even
can
do a
give you one right now.
consultation before tax season starts with your clients, just to show them what they can do, just to avoid some of those things. Thank you.
So going on our side, right? So what are some more red flags or mistakes that tax pros should watch out for when helping families with mixed statuses households that claim these credits?
Well, I think it's just important for us to know the rules.
Correct.
You know, us as tax preparers, we need to know the rules. We need to let
Yeah,
them know,
we
okay, oh,
submit it
you
once
have a
you
social
complete the
security
course.
number. We're okay. We're so no changes from last year.
And you're welcome.
Because
Thank you,
one
Teresita.
of
You
the
have a great
parents
day.
have a social security number
you.
in that case.
Bye-bye.
It's just important for us to know the rules as tax preparers and get that information out and just kind of like I'm gonna go back to what Josue was saying a second ago about doing social media posts about changes with ITINs. There are a couple more changes that our ITIN families are going to be seeing, and one of those is going to be the American Opportunity Credit. In previous years, we've been able to take the American Opportunity Credit either for an ITIN parent, family with kids with socials, or in some cases, a ITIN student family has been able to take that American Opportunity Credit to get a little bit of relief from those student tuition fees and fees. But this year they are changing that as well to require a social security number both for the parent and for the student. And I think we're still waiting on further guidance in the case of a mixed status family, and that's why I kind of brought this into that question here, is because there's some of these new provisions that affect ITIN families that we don't know if it's going to be qualified if it's mixed status. We're still waiting on some of that IRS guidance. So please stay up to date with us, with Latino Tax Pro, with our friend Nadia that's usually here on the webinar. Keep on following us and learning more about these new changes and to stay up to date with whatever guidance the IRS does give us in these cases.
Yeah, definitely a good point because the American Opportunity Credits has always been a refundable and huge credit for especially for lower income families. And this is going to be a huge blow if they're not knowing what's changing this year. So that's a good point on that one. Um, and like Neo said, what you want to do is you want to watch out for those changes that are coming around the corner and let your clients know because changes happen all the time. And during tax season, you might have said, "Oh, they're going to school. Make sure you keep all track of all the records. We can deduct almost 100% of it. You know, it's just going to be up to 2,500 bucks." That might not be the case this year. So you want to let those clients know. Definitely um, keep informed and let them know ahead of time before they get that sticker shock that comes around this year.
You bring up a key point right there too, obviously, about documentation, right? I think documentation is always key. We're in a business where we have to notate, document everything, right? So obviously we have probably a lot of brand new preparers that are starting their practice or in their second, third year of getting their business started. What would you say are some best practices for record keeping that tax professionals should recommend to clients when preparing for the CTC and the ACTC?
I know you want this one, Josue. No, I can go with it. So I think that we need to document just like we would for anything that's on that 8867. Anything that we have to do our prepare due diligence for, we're going to need those records. In my office, we typically want to see the social security card, the birth certificate, and a proof of residence of that child that is being claimed for the child tax credit, the additional child tax credit, EIC, in even head of household, and the other dependent credit. Now we're going to see a lot more other dependent credit now with these credits being taken away from our ITIN families. But I think regardless, we're still going to want that same documentation. We want to see that they have the same household, their school records or medical records all match mom and dad, so that if the time comes that the IRS knocks on our door, we'll be prepared and be able to show we did what we're supposed to do. We made sure that these dependents belong on this tax return.
Yeah, definitely. I would definitely recommend records and also notes. Make sure you write those notes that when the clients are coming in, and they tell you one thing, that hey, especially for like head of household, I always say, there's not really much you can grab for head of household, but they told me they have not been married and they're claiming a child. So, record keeping is going to be a key. Uh, make sure you know what the clients can bring in. What I do to prepare my clients out, or what I should say, our company does, is that we send out letters with a checkoff list to make sure they bring it in during tax season. So if they're claiming independence in children, make sure they have their social security, birth certificate, and most importantly, proof of address. It could be like the school, it could be medical, the I know a lot of you guys are getting 1099Bs, 1099 or 1095Bs, 1095As. That would be proof of insurance, medical insurance, as long as it has the child's name and then the client's address on it. School records, it could be a school record from the school that says no, it has a picture of the child and it shows that they are going to school with the same address, or it could be a 1098T for tuition for school records. So there's a lot of things that you need to make sure that you have when you're doing the return, and that way you're not protecting the client, you're really protecting yourself from these types of audits. And you want to make sure that you have all the documentations to prepare yourself to make sure that, hey, if they audit me once, that's all they're gonna do, and they'll know, hey, I'm in good standings with it because as you know, the IRS doesn't have that many agents as they used to, and they're closing up shops. But it doesn't mean they're not going to stop auditing preparers because
Mhm.
preparers are the bigger shots. they would be more of the bigger targets to make sure that they're doing it correctly. So you want to make sure that everything's done right. And if you get one of those shady, the one thing I have to stress is you don't have to do every single return for clients that are coming in. If you feel this is shady, they're really married, they're trying to cheat the system, it's okay to say no. Just like those bars that you go to, you can refuse service, right? So make sure you understand, hey, you are a professional. If you feel that someone else is doing it wrong or bringing you documents you're not even sure if they're kid, I wouldn't recommend you doing those returns. You can just say, hey, you know what, there's a tax office down the street. They'll take you over there, you know? But yeah, that's going to be some of the key things, especially for these coming years, to make sure that your record keeping is on top. I recommend having a scanning system, because going to the back and looking for folders, that's so hard to
Yeah.
do. And if you have a tax software that you can scan into the tax return, oh, that's really great. Just make sure you have like a scanner in your desk or a scanner in the back to make sure you're able to scan it into that return. So that way you have it. It might be forever, but you have it. That's the key. So good points on that one. And record keeping and notes are a key on this in this industry. Thank you.
So what do you use for notes? Do you rely on the ones that are in your tax prep software, or do you have physical notes that you write and then you scan them in?
Our software, we have notes that pop up. It's the first thing that pops up when we transfer our client over. So it's our internal notes. It could be as long as 20 pages in some cases. But we just write notes, and it keeps the dates, every note we put in there. And what we do is like, hey, uh, Jose Raul goes by Raul, we have notes that say, hey, they are expecting a new child for this coming year. Make sure we get the documents. We have notes that are like, hey, we requested the that security IP pin. Make sure that they have their IP pin when they come in for their taxes. So we have notes for every single thing. Maybe it might be head of household, but it's built in our software to where, and I'm sure a lot of softwares have like internal notes for these
Mhm.
clients. I would definitely recommend it to put all your notes inside your software, so that way you have records and you're like, oh yeah, that's right, I forgot they did buy a house this year, they told me about that. So we got to make sure we get the mortgage interest, property taxes and stuff. So record keeping notes will be key. Thank you.
Yeah, you guys bring up, those are other great points as well too. I know something that I've heard that some of my clients have done that do taxes as well is even when they take, I mean, you don't have to have some, special software or anything like that, but they like to take notes down and then have even the client's initial, knowing that they went over that certain thing. That's just another thing to back up to prepare. Obviously, we're doing our due diligence and asking for what we need and what we're supposed to ask for. So having anything, whether it be in the software or old school pen to paper, having something is going to be key. And correct me if I'm wrong, but even having standard operating procedures on how to, build a file and doing all that stuff, that's just going to help, especially for a lot of, a lot of the people that are here on the webinar. They probably have a small business. They've got some new preparers. How important would that be to have some good standard operating procedures on how to build everything?
Absolutely. 100% recommend on standard operating procedures because, everybody, there's probably a million ways to do any one thing, but it's nice to have a streamline. You can expect that this is how we do things in our office.
So I know we're getting up to almost the last. I want to get one more question in. If you guys have anything else, you guys can jump in. Definitely cut me off. But many of our attendees do serve small business owners, right? We do, obviously, that we do. So how do the rules around ITINs and dependents impact entrepreneurs and self-employed clients differently, if at all?
Yeah, did you make a purchase?
Well, we know that if our client has an ITIN, right, and they are self-employed, that child tax credit would never kick out all of their self-employment tax, no matter how little it income they have. So they're just going to probably have to pay a little bit more. They're not going to have any of that refundable anymore to cover any of that self-employment tax. That's the biggest takeaway that I think that I have for child tax credit affecting small businesses, Schedule C entrepreneurs. How about you, Josue?
Yeah, it does affect a lot of the small business owners. Like I said, it's going to be for the low income that's going to be hurting for the I-10 families, especially when a lot of these I-10 families are self-employed. They are going to be making sure that, hey, you know what? I got a lot more last year. What's going on this year? And you kind of want to help out your clients, maybe do some tax planning for the coming years to make sure that they're not going to be in the same situation. Maybe even doing estimated payments for those Schedule Cs that they never really thought of before. Encourage them to get a social. Maybe they can get it in the future. So that way, all those payments that they made in Social Security, they can get those when they retire. So there's going to be, I always say you're not only their tax preparer, you're also their counselor, right? And you want to make sure that they're in the good spot for the future. And they're going to tell you all the personal stuff that they have. And I'm sure everybody that's listening knows that experience. Like, oh, I'm going through a divorce, or oh, the my child went to this college and I don't like it. They're going to tell you a lot of the personal stuff, but as their professional, you want to make sure that they're going into the right direction. I always believe if your clients grows, then you grow as well. So you want to make sure that your clients are going to be up to date as much as you can to let them know what changes they might be going through and what they can do to prepare themselves in the future.
All right, so we're at that question and answer mark there. I'll keep a lookout for some questions if they pop through. If you do, go ahead on Zoom, go ahead on the questions and go ahead and type them in so we can get those answered for you. Is there anything else that you guys want to add to today? I know, Nigel, we kind of got on a little bit before, and there's some other things that you kind of brought up. If we have the time right now, maybe we can kind of go over a
Yeah,
little bit.
well,
Yeah,
sure.
you
Well, we're
would.
waiting for some questions to come through. Um, I just wanted to talk about a couple of the other things that are only for Social Security holders. So that means that our I-10 clients and families are going to be excluded from them. So it's the new provisions, the new deductions that we're going to be seeing of the new car loan interest. That is only for Social Security holders. The tip deduction also requires a Social Security number. So even if you have clients that have an I-10 and they're a waiter or waitress or whatever, and they have all these tips, they're excited about this tip deduction, know that this is not going to be available for them. Same goes for overtime. We have a lot of construction workers, a lot of people that put in lots and lots of hours, and they're excited for this no tax on overtime that they heard about. Sorry, this is only for Social Security number holders. I-10 holders are not included in this. And as well as that senior deduction, um, we're waiting on guidance on all of these. However, we need to know if in a married filing joint situation, do we get to take some or do we still get to take none? This is just some tidbits that we don't quite have 100% of the information on yet, but very specifically in the OBBBA, it says that it requires Social Security number for all of these deductions.
That's great, Nigel. Thank you for bringing that up. Josue, is there anything that you want to add?
Yeah, that's definitely a good point. I know a lot of people are going to be frustrated with the IRS this year, especially trying to contact the IRS this year. I think we still have an acting commissioner. We don't have anyone. I guess we got rid of the last one just last week. So we haven't really had a full one for this year. So I always believe like leadership's going to start up from the top. So there's going to be a lot of issues during this. I think this coming tax season, if you're trying to get support from the IRS online, or trying to get some letters answered, maybe even this year there's some delays on some refunds that you still haven't received. There's gonna be a lot of questions on what you can do. I've had a couple this year for taxes that the I I I called them up and we're going through a middle of an audit, and she says, "Well, sorry, I'm gonna have to pass this on to someone else. I'm not gonna be your agent." I'm like, "What?" So yeah, this is gonna be someone else is taking over. I have to start all over again just to talk to with someone else that's new. So there's gonna be some changes, probably during the middle of um, your client's audits because I know you guys get those letter audits that come in with their, hey, they're missing something on Schedule A or something. We want to verify your identification. The IRS has to manually look at these things to make sure everything's accurate, and the delays are going to be here next year. And let your clients know it's not going to be the normal turnaround of 2 to 4 weeks. It could take longer. It could even take 4 months, right? So let them know. I think this year also refunds are going to be extremely delayed, especially the people that are coming in early January that they always try to say, I want to be the first one to get my refund. It's not going to be the case this year. So you want to make them know that, hey, you know what? Just be a little patient. You waited a whole year. Let's wait a little bit longer. Refunds are definitely probably going to be delayed this year, especially with individuals claiming dependents.
So
Oh,
were you able to get
I just thought of one more thing that I wanted to add quick. So remember when Josue was saying encourage them to get social security numbers? Well, I'd love everybody to get social security numbers, right? But we do know that some of our clients have them in process. And this is going to be really important for this coming season. If we know that our clients have a social security number in process, we should ask them, hey, what's your status? Are you getting close? And if they say, yeah, my attorney said it's going to come within the next 4 months. Okay, on extension. On extension. Extensions are going to be so key this coming year for that reason. Because if we can get them on extension, now they have until October 15th to get their social security number. As long as it has the stamp of October 15th or earlier, they will be able to qualify for all these credits that we are saying that they don't qualify for now. So really just important thing to add, extension for these clients if they think that maybe they might be getting a social security number in the near future. Sorry for my interjection.
No, that's
That's a
great.
really good point. Yeah.
Okay.
So what you're trying to say, Nejla, is everyone needs to get married ASAP, right? No, just kidding.
Maybe for tax purposes.
Maybe
I
for
don't know.
tax purpose, no, for love and tax purposes, right? We got to make sure we throw that in there, right? But we do have a question that just came in from Grisela Martinez, and my friend just came back. Let's see. For the OT reduction for a married couple, will it apply if there's
You know,
at least one Social Security?
So that's what I was saying that we're still waiting on some guidance for. We don't really know how it's affecting the mixed status families. They just say a social security number is required on the return. But what other information do we have there? We're just kind of waiting on that guidance to find out if mixed status are going to be able to take that.
Yeah, as soon as we find out, we are definitely going to let you know, especially on these live casts when it comes in, because we want to update you guys as much as possible just to let you know when anything does change. So make sure you guys keep informed. If you guys have newsletters, I recommend signing up for the newsletter from the IRS for notifications, especially for child tax credits. You can just go to irs.gov and then sign up for their newsletters. But yeah, very, very good
So
point.
we have another question here. Thank you guys for that answer, by the way. Shalimar asked, hello, so if an individual did not have a social security number in 2025, but may get one in 2026, which I think we just went over, we should file an extension to allow them to claim the deduction if they get it before October 15th. Exactly what Angela just said.
Absolutely. That's exactly the scenario that we're talking about. So we have them sitting down in our office. We're doing the interview. They say, hey, my social security number is supposed to be coming in the next 4 months. Well, we get an extra 6 months if we can make that extension. So just automatically file the extension. They can always do an an amendment, but I hate doing that. I would much rather just wait to do the tax return once that social security number comes in. There's some other really important steps that we might have to take. Maybe we can do another webinar on it. So, yeah, just stay informed. Keep on watching us here at this webinar.
Definitely. So we're coming to the moment. I don't see any other questions coming in.
Yeah.
So great recap, right? I'd like to say that we're the lifeline of our customers, right? At the end of the day, they depend on us to provide them the information that they need. And I'm pretty sure all of us can agree here that these two credits that our clients get are the lifeline of their families, you know? So it's important for us to not only inform ourselves, right, but to inform our clients. And remember, knowledge is only, you have to share this knowledge that you get, and staying informed and being proactive is not only helping yourself, but helping your clients, right? So let's continue to work together to empower our communities, one family, one client, and one return at a time. We'll be here again next week, same time. Tomorrow, Nejla will be doing this again in Spanish, right, with us. Josué will not, right? We gotta teach him Spanish, but a key takeaway, right? If they're not married, tell them to get married. Maybe get your minister's license so you can marry them on the spot. I'm just kidding, right? But no,
I think
thank
we're
you
busy
guys.
enough, brother.
Thank you guys so much for your time today, your expertise. Our members really appreciate it, and they love chiming in every week. So same time, same place next week. We'll see you guys. Okay. Have a wonderful week.
All right, thank
We'll
you.
talk to you guys soon.
Thank you so much.
You-